Time now for the markets with Leighton. And Leighton, you say there was a bullish crop report for the grain sector?
And we are off the bat going to analyze some of the corn and soybean numbers in just a moment. Also in the markets this week, cotton traders seem to focus more on world numbers. Russia plays havoc with the wheat pit as DAP fertilizer production ends on the Mississippi coast. We begin with the December crop and supply demand reports from D.C. released at midday on Wednesday. There were some surprises for the corn and soybean sectors in those new numbers. Extension Ag economist Brian Williams talked about them during this analysis on Thursday. Brian, corn ending stocks were generally expected to be increased. What did we actually get in the numbers?
Right, they were expected to be increased by about 15 million bushels. That was what the market was expecting. We ended up 25 million bushels lower than that. They were actually decreased by about 10 million bushels.
Okay. Now what about the production forecast for corn?
Well, they kept the production the same. Usually the December report, we don't see a lot of movement in those production numbers, but maybe we can look forward in January. We might see some movement then.
Did ethanol from corn, did that generate any headlines out of this report?
They didn't move any of the ethanol numbers. They kept those numbers the same. It was still a little bit surprising though, looking at some other reports. Last week we saw a record ethanol production take place, and so there was possibly some expectations to see a bump in it, but it didn't actually come through.
Well, how is the market likely to trade near term as a result of this report?
Well, overall it's a bullish report. With the ending stocks being lower than what was expected, it should provide a little bit of a boost to the market going forward.
So I understand, moving to soybeans, that those ending stocks are also dropped from a month ago?
They were. Soybean ending stocks were down about 40 million bushels.
And how is the market reacting to that so far?
Initially, the market reacted negatively to that. That wasn't really expected. The report overall can be considered more of a bullish report with the lower stocks. But as of yesterday, the prices were actually down a little bit.
And bean production itself increased or decreased?
They kept bean production the same as well. Kind of with corn. The December report, they don't usually move those numbers too much. They wait till January to make those adjustments.
And soybean exports, how did that fare?
Well, that's actually where all of the movement in the ending stocks came from. They boosted our exports by 40 million bushels.
And as far as price picture on beans in coming days, what might that happen?
Well, as I mentioned, the report was kind of a bullish report, so hopefully we should see the market move up a little bit in the coming days because of the boost in exports.
As for cotton, the Wednesday USDA report dropped all cotton production 3% from last month. However, that number was overshadowed by record-setting world ending stocks. Thursday morning, cotton futures did tick up on what has been a roller coaster month as far as U.S. cotton export sales. The weekly export report on December 4th showed sales had suddenly tapered off. However, the new December 11th numbers showed recovery with strong U.S. cotton export sales recorded. Well, the wheat market has been on a roller coaster somewhat due to news out of Russia. Despite ongoing huge global supplies, when Russia says it's going to reduce wheat exports, that is a big deal. And that's what they said last week. Analyst Naomi Bloom said this created the opportunity for catch-up sales.
And they're, of course, very dependent on what's happening with Ukraine to make sure that they have enough food for their people. So they actually said, no, we're really shutting it down. We're not going to do exports. And so that triggered a mass amount of short covering, blew some traders out of the water. And the market, we saw the Chicago wheat for the December contract get up towards that $6 area. So it's been a great opportunity for catch-up sales, and that's exactly what we're recommending on it because we have such a really still good supply of wheat.
Since that interview, talk has died down about Russia possibly limiting exports. As a result, March Chicago wheat is lower and catch-up sales are no longer as inviting looking. The trivia quiz is about water this week, irrigation water. How farmers use it has been a hot topic in this year of 2014. Here's the question: how much of Mississippi Delta farmland is furrow irrigated? A, 25%, B, 43%, C, 59%, or D, 70%? I'll have the answer at the end of the markets. The most common form of phosphate fertilizer for all major row crops is diammonium phosphate, known as DAP. A major producer of DAP on the Mississippi coast has shut down manufacturing. The Sun Herald newspaper reports the decision by Mississippi Phosphates Corporation will bring layoffs for 175 people. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection back in October. The newspaper reports the Pascagoula plant could eventually reopen under new ownership. Bloomberg News reported this week that the 2014 rally in hog prices is over. Concerns over the deadly PED virus are giving way, apparently, to an expanding supply of animals in the pork sector. Analyst Don Roos says this market is in a transition. He talked to Mike Pearson of Market to Market recently about the situation.
We're trying to move into bigger supplies as we go forward, and that's happening. In this fourth quarter, we could be unchanged up slightly on our total overall production. Weights remain large. In the first quarter next year, Mike, for example, we go up 1% on hog production. Second quarter, you go up 3%. And in the third quarter, you go up 7%. For the year, you go up 4%. So we're on the march higher. If you look at all the proteins, red meat and poultry combined, next year we're going to be up 1.6% on versus this last year on total meat. So, we are moving higher.
Before our new feature story, let's check the trivia answer for this week. The correct choice is D. Approximately 70% of the land in the Delta is furrow irrigated, according to the Mississippi Agricultural and Forestry Experiment Station.